Right people, we are back again for another weekly chilled out breakthrough of a photo. So if you're new here, this is what we do once a week, where we just do no cuts all the way through, start to finish of a photo, and I teach you a certain style that I've done this week. This week I edited this wagon on Air Ride. If you haven't seen that video, I'll leave it up here. It was a POV, really sunny day, really cool car, and I was like, mate, do you want to go take some pictures? He said yes, and we got some bangers. So I'm going to show you how to do it to get this like Texas sort of look in your photos. So let's go. So we can get this photo from scratch in 1 second, bosh, and then we do a couple of adjustments with my preset pack. First link in the description, but I will go through it from the start with you and try and do it from scratch. And this is actually really hard for me because I don't edit from scratch a lot because I always use my presets. Anyway, straight into it, we're going to go warmth up. So get your white balance, whack that to the orange, to probably about, you want to look at the car, ignore the sky, we can sort that out afterwards. So we kind of want to go a bit too far. I'd say like there. So you want to get the orange into the image to start with, because that's like that desert sort of look. Then I'm going to pull contrast. So we'll go about there. And then what I like to do is I always like to drop the highlights because it just gives that dull. We're going for like a filmy sort of Texas, old camera, a bit of grain vibe. So highlights down to make it a little bit dull. We're going to go shadows. I'm going to keep the shadows where it is for now. Whites, I bring them down slightly to dull the image again. Blacks, I don't know. Maybe down, yeah, blacks down a little bit just to get the tires and stuff like that a little bit more rich when it all comes together. Obviously we've got the dust, which is an advantage in this photo shoot. Obviously if the car was just normal on its own, it would look a lot different. I've got an example here. Here's like one that we did earlier without the dust. So we're going to go sort of like that, but we're going to use the dust to our advantage. So we're going to go texture out, clarity out, which is normally, actually no. Texture in, clarity out. Just because I want a little bit of texture there. I don't want it to be too soft. Saturation, vibrance, we're leaving it. Tone curve, we'll do the classic S. I like to do 3 points or maybe even 5 points sometimes. So I do the S first. I grab another point down here, but then I also grab this and lift it up. And then from there I grab a middle one. And I like to just play with this to bring that middle, like you see that's too blown out up there. So I bring that down to get the car back. That's too much. Probably about there, because then we start to dip into like the oranges then and we don't want to go too crazy. So we'll go about there. Obviously we can bring all this back together with adjustments later. We're just sorting out the colors for now. So here's the bit where we can start to really dial this preset in. Obviously I can get the preset right there, but we're doing it from scratch, it's fine. I can do it. So we're going to go for more of a darker orange. I always kind of like to go to the darker side of all these colors. Do a little bit darker reds for the headlights. The rest of the colors I'm going to leave. Only slight adjustments here, we don't need to go crazy. Saturation, I'm going to boost the saturation of the oranges slightly. I'm going to pull the greens all the way out, and then I'm going to pull the blues and everything else quite far down. I'll keep the purples in because the car has got a bit of purple on it. Reds can come down and then they can stay up. And then the luminance, I might bring the reds up a tiny bit just to get the reds on the tail lights just popping a little bit more. And then I'll bring the oranges actually down and see if that counters it. Yeah, it brings a bit more colour into it. So let's counter the oranges. And then let's just bring the rest of these down. So that'll do for the colours, nothing crazy. Here's where we can start to get like the shadows underneath the car. We can start to bring a little bit of a different colour in to counter the orange so it's not too orange. So we're going to go to the shadows. And we're just going to add a nice blend that mixes well with the dust and like the sand if we were in a desert. So I kind of just move this around until it looks cool in a certain area. And I think I'm leaning more towards this bottom left corner. Kind of like there, that almost magenta colour. Because orange on orange looks stupid. I think it's just always nice to counter. I'd say about there. Yeah, we'll go about there. Highlights, obviously we're already in the orange territory, so nothing's really going to help that, to be honest. So we're going to leave the orange, we're going to leave the highlights, and then the mid-tones, I think I want to go towards that green and that blue again. Yeah, I think that works. Always counter the main colour of the image with the shadows or something, just to give it that a bit of a, I don't know what the word is. But moving on, this is the most important part to get that film sort of look in your photo. We're just going to add grain. So we're going to take a really nice photo with a really expensive camera that we've saved up for, and we're going to ruin it by adding grain. I don't care. It's a stylistic choice. I'm an artist. I just think it looks sick with the grain because it just adds with all that smoke. Like you see all that, you've got all the dust, and then you've got the grain. This is kind of the settings I normally go for. I normally do halfway, this one just above halfway, this one just under, and this one just above as well. That's kind of where it is, because if you do too much, like if I go that up there, that's a bit fucking nuts. So I like to go about there, and then bring these two up, and we'll leave it about there for the grain. Just adds that nice element to it, because obviously look at it again, if we didn't have it, nice and smooth. If we did have it, adds that bit of roughness and imperfection to the image. So, camera calibration. This bit is where we can really start to depict what the colors do. I just move these around. I'm gonna go a little bit that way, desaturate, and then I'm gonna go, I think I like the green. I don't know why the green's giving me more film vibe. We might be moving away from the actual preset itself, but still, we're experimenting. And then we'll bring this one a little bit there and desaturate again. So that is like the main colors and settings to get that sort of vibe. Now we can really start to add some adjustments to sort the sky out, to bring the floor in and separate the background from the actual car. So that's what I always like to do. So they're the main colors. Obviously, if you want that straight away with probably a bit of better look is the preset. Yeah, look, that even looks better color-wise with the preset. So I kind of did it, kind of didn't. But now we go to the adjustments. So let's go. Let's see if AI can get the sky for us. It can. Fucking belter. So bring the highlights down again, and then we're gonna bring the exposure down to where we get that sky in. You see that sky's coming in now? It's vignetting a little bit, but I can sort that out in a minute. But I want that sky to be in because that's just too blown out. You want that nice greeny, old-fashioned blue sky. That's too much, obviously. So we're looking at the edge of the car to see if it's blending in well. We're probably gonna go about there. I don't need too much of the sky in, I just need a little bit in so you can at least see it. Is that gonna feather it? Is that what that's doing? It's quite harsh against the car. It's the only thing with the selected adjustments. Maybe actually, oh yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna do a linear gradient just so then it actually smoothly comes into the image, because otherwise it's too much of a harsh line around the car. So let's go here. Don't worry about covering the car because it's such a faint effect anyway. It won't really affect the car in that area. So what did we do? Highlights. So let's bring the highlights all the way down, and then let's just bring the exposure to about there, and let's lift it up because it actually is affecting the car more than I thought. So we'll go about there, just so we've got some sky in. From there, we're going to do the same linear gradient from the floor, and this is really going to separate that color from the car and make it look like it's actually on something instead of just one flat photo. And all I do with this is just bring the exposure down to about a decent level. That's too much, so we'll go about there, just so it's a slightly different color, desaturate a tiny bit. And then I like to add clarity just to get all those little mini rocks and stuff a bit more crisp. And then I'm gonna add a shadow to the left of the car. So we've got the light source on the right in my photo, but I'm adapting the light right now. But let's say the sun's top right, so we need some shadows bottom left, and you can already see them on the car anyway. So we're just gonna add a little linear gradient from this corner, and we're just gonna darken it ever so slightly, and that's just gonna give us that nice side-by-side separation from the photo. It's just cool to add shadows and stuff like that in because it really brings the car away from the environment. Now I just kind of want to affect the car on its own. So let me select subject. Is it going to do it? Yeah, mate, the AI is just a joke. It's so good. I'm just going to boost saturation slightly. And I'm even going to bring it maybe into the colder side. Ooh, yeah, so you can either go orange on orange, or you can bring it more into the colder side to get the car more. Actually, I think I should keep it orange. It's kind of the vibe, isn't it? Yeah, I'm just going to leave that there. But what I'm going to do is just bring the exposure down a tiny bit, because obviously that's quite blown out. So we'll bring the exposure down a tiny bit just to get the car a little bit more separated. And then we will leave it there. So if we look at the before and after, bosh, we've got that nice Texas style look. Obviously you need the right car and the right location, and a bit of dust would help. But the main things is that orange color, the grain, and bringing back the sky so there's a bit of blue. Yeah, that's it really. So if you like that, go for it, go try it. If you want to just get this look straight away, which probably looks actually a lot better, so let's just put the preset on again and I'll show you. There you go. All you'd need to do really, the sky's already sorted out, is lift the exposure, and then I'd just come down here, I'd grab the grain, where is it? Grab the grain, whack that onto the picture, and then I'd maybe adjust a couple of little things like lighting wise. I'd probably bring the exposure up a little bit more, maybe highlights down a little bit more, shadows up a little bit more, desaturate the whole image a tiny bit, and there would be your preset straight away. So yeah, if you want to copy the settings, go for it. If you just want to have the preset straight away along with 10 others, then yeah, go for it. First link in the description. That's been your lovely little walkthrough on Lightroom. I'll see you next week. And subscribe. We're nearly at 500.